So we're here with David Leeds from Tango Card in West Seattle, and we're going to talk about not only Tango Card, but also enterprise sales and kind of going after the big customers, especially early on. So David, first just give us an introduction. Who are you? What is Tango Card? You know, what are you guys doing?
Sure, welcome to West Seattle.
Yeah, thanks.
So my name is Dave Leeds, and I'm the founder and CEO of Tango Card. And we started the company back in 2010, and so this is basically year 4 for us.
Cool.
So as a company, what we do is this. So enterprise customers today spend about $50 billion a year on 2 things. They spend it on employee recognition and employee loyalty, and they spend it on trying to inspire customers to do one thing or another, either try their service for the first time or stick with it. And we provide a modern, really slick way for companies to do that. So
you said that you have several bigger clients, some enterprise clients. Can you just go, list a few of those for the audience?
Locally, we work a lot with Microsoft. So we're the exclusive fulfillment partner for their Bing Rewards program. So as their large group of customers uses Bing to search, they get credits for doing that. And as those credits accrue, they can redeem those for a range of really cool things, from gift cards to nonprofit contributions to other hot deals and special things. We're the exclusive fulfillment partner for all of that. Also down in the Bay Area, we work a lot with Salesforce on a number of initiatives, including their Work.com initiative.
Cool. Okay, so I know, personally, I know that you acquired some of, or not acquired, but you've been working with some of these bigger enterprise clients since very early on. And one thing that I'm really interested in, I'm sure that the audience is interested in, is how did you do that? I mean, how did you approach the right person? How did you get in there? I know that there's everybody trying to go after these big clients. How'd you guys go about that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for us, in the case of both companies, really, we started with I guess what I would consider a very simple philosophy, which is there had to be a really, really strong, compelling business need that they had. And there also had to be a big sense of urgency around what we were doing. So, specifically in the case of Microsoft Bing Rewards, Bing and Bing Rewards were growing very quickly, but the way that they were approaching rewards and modern rewards wasn't working.
Okay.
And so, we knew that it was really important for them to solve that problem, and we knew we had a great solution.
So did you go into Tango Card with this kind of notion of let's solve a problem and then tackle that? Or did you go into it with knowing your idea and then deciding how to approach Microsoft with it?
Definitely. So we absolutely, came into what we're doing with a specific idea, and we had done a lot of work before we approached Microsoft, which is part of the answer. I mean, we had built some really cool stuff on the software side. We had a number of really proprietary products, and so when we approached them, we had a really well thought out targeted solution. And so when we approached them with this really well thought out targeted solution and matched that with a huge business need for them, it was a great match. Really created the sense of urgency on their side to get something done quickly, but also with a company of our stage.
So how did you, because I think a lot of startups out there, whether it's Seattle or San Francisco, they think that they're solving a problem, right? They think that they're doing something that is urgent and important and is a $50 billion industry, but nobody wants to talk to them. So how did you, did you just send an email to the right person? Were you already connected to them, or how does that work?
Great question. Yeah, so we started how probably many start, which is we knew several people that already worked on the team.
Okay.
And so what we were able to do before we went in from kind of a true sales perspective was spend a lot of time really understanding the pain point. And had there not been a pain point, there would never have been an opportunity. So we got a sense very early on about the problem that was happening at in this case at Microsoft, and we're able to to go in with not only a view of our own solution, but when we kind of went into sales mode, so to speak, we knew 2 or 3 key areas where our solution would help. But it was definitely starting with a very warm connection that we had.
So do you know how you would have approached it if you didn't have that warm connection, or do you think the warm connection is completely vital to the process?
Yeah, it isn't vital to the process. I mean, I would say with Salesforce, for example, it was exactly the opposite of that, which is we didn't know the team that was involved with what we're doing there, but we had our own vision, if you will, for how a combined Tango card Salesforce solution could look. And in that case, I reached out directly to some very senior folks, in those organizations via both LinkedIn and Twitter. So try to create a little bit, as much of a social connection as I could before going in. But when we did get time with them, which was pretty fast, we presented a vision. And we presented what their solution looked like today. We presented what our solution looked like today. And we presented what the solutions look like together, but most importantly, why that combined solution would drive huge differentiation for them.
So with Salesforce, I mean, you said you approached it with LinkedIn, Twitter. Was it literally just Google searching like, director of a product at Salesforce and then reaching out on LinkedIn cold? And
right.
How did that work?
Yeah, so in the case of Salesforce, the way that the relationship developed was that the company that ended up being integral to us was a company that Salesforce actually acquired. And so when we approached Salesforce, we basically approached the CEO of the company that was acquired.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so it allowed us to get to basically obviously a key decision maker, but inside of what was ultimately a much larger organization. And at least for us, and probably for a lot of startups, ultimately you have to find somebody that believes in your vision. Because if they don't believe in the vision, it's going to instantly be considered tactical or unimportant or whatever word you use when it comes to prioritizing the project and prioritizing the development or whatever. Unless someone believes in the vision that you're presenting, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
And so in the case of Salesforce, we were able to present a vision to someone, and they believed in it. And it still took a long time to mature. But when you've only got so much time in the day, if you can't present your full vision to someone and you can't get enough of their time to listen, you should just move on to the next opportunity.
You don't spend too much time beating on a dead horse.
You just can't.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of really good pieces of advice in there. I guess if you had 30 seconds to a minute to kind of sum up everything you could possibly tell, an entrepreneur, whether they're currently in a startup or thinking about a startup, especially when it comes to these enterprise sales and enterprise partnerships, what would your advice be?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think, so at least one thing I would say is what you're doing, and every entrepreneur thinks that this is true, so that this may or may not ultimately be helpful, but what you're doing has to be disruptive, it has to be strategic, and it has to be solving a huge problem. And you need some validation around that. And so maybe it's even before you truly get into sales mode, whether it's research or whatever leads you to this conclusion. You have to believe that what you're doing is incredibly disruptive, but ultimately is gonna make your customer's business hugely differentiated, or drive more engagement with your customer's product, or make your customers that much more excited and engaged and involved with what they're doing. And if you can prove that, or if you can demonstrate that, then you've got something. But you have to go in and you have to paint the picture for the person that you're selling or selling to or partnering with, that the end game is a hugely differentiated outcome. And I think what I've often seen differentiates those that are successful from those that aren't is the people that do the work. If you actually do the work to paint your vision, show what it looks like, help your customer see the end game, kind of help the light bulb go off in their head, then you can be onto something.
That's great. Okay, well, perfect. David, thanks for letting us come out, and it was great meeting you. And that's David Leeds from Tango Card.
All right, nice to meet you.